Hi, everyone, and welcome. It's Tracy at the Gather Community, and I'm here with the fabulous and amazing Caterina Rando, who I love so much. Caterina, I am so excited to get to interview you again so that people who might not know what's going on with you and your business these days can get an update for the 2025-2026 timeframe. We're
Okay.
recording this here in September of 25. And so depending on when people are watching this, it might be new, it might be a few months old, but let's give everyone an update on what's going on for you in your business, how you're serving your clients these days, and a little bit of what you're excited about in the world of women entrepreneurship.
Okay, great. Well, here's the thing. Women start businesses because they want to be of service. I want to support them of being in service, but I also want them to bliss in their business and I want them to massively monetize because that supports them blissing in their business. The other thing, Tracy, we know is that women are good stewards of money. Do you know what we do? We invest in the welfare and education of our children. We invest in our communities. Women are very generous with their dollars to help other people. And I want more of that. And I want to help women create more of that. So I support women with learning how to sell really without the ick factor because women who want to be of service don't want to be salesy. That is very important. And by the way, let's just pause here, my friend. Women know how to talk to each other, okay? We don't need a script. We don't need push pain points. Women, all we gotta do is talk to some gals and see who's a good match for us.
Yep.
So I like to teach women how to authentically sell in a way that feels good to them. That's what I do. Then I, of course, want them to speak because speaking is a way to build insta influence. People meet you, they get a sense of your personality, they vibe with you. We get to do that through speaking. So I want to support women to speak more, to be loud and proud about the massive value they bring so that they can sell more and they can serve more. And then, the other thing I like to do because I'm doing it with you in a few days is I love to host retreats for women and I like to support other women and teach them how to have thriving women's retreats too. And you're a perfect example. Now I get to go on your retreats, which is so fun. And why retreats? Because women love to get together. And because we love to share ideas and we like to have fun and we like to make friends. And all of that happens on a retreat. And from a business perspective, retreats are great because your clients come and spend more time with you. They meet your other clients and they're going to have such a great time. They're going to get massive value and they're going to keep coming back. And this supports all of the women entrepreneurs. This supports us to not only have clients, but to have long term and lifelong clients. And isn't that what we want? Clients that are getting massive value, they become our friends, they uplift our lives, we uplift their lives. Bing, bing, bing. Isn't that a great way to do business?
100%. All of the things. And, since we're here in the Gather community, everything that you've talked about, it keeps ringing in my head because that builds community, because that builds community, because that builds community. And so it's all so intertwined with the people that you meet becoming those clients, those long-term lifelong clients, those friends, those business besties, those collaboration partners, all of the things that just come out of all of this authenticity that you're offering.
Yeah. And so, isn't life better when you get to do it with people that you like to do it with?
Yeah.
Bing, bing. And isn't business, of course, much better? And so, and I like to say, a rising woman lifts all the women around her. And that's what I want to do. I want to help create women that are rising in their business, rising in their life, rising with their attitude. And when they're feeling good, they feel like they want to help everyone else.
Yep.
And that makes it all better. Bing bing.
One of the things that you do that is so inspiring and affects even more people is you always infuse philanthropy into your business. You do that
Yeah.
sometimes at your summit, sometimes at maybe an in-person event. It's a variety of different things over the years that we've known each other. It should have been different ways. And that's again, like you might be talking about helping a client become a more successful client so they can reach those people, but then what about people who would never be clients? We can help
Right.
them too,
Right.
because the generosity of a woman's spirit just continues to grow.
Right. Well, because when we're doing well, then we have more surplus to share.
Yep.
And Tracy, there is need everywhere. Now, I like to give money to women entrepreneurship training in other parts of the world. And sometimes people say, well, Caterina, why don't you just help the gals in the neighborhood or in the States? And absolutely, I'm always happy to help those gals too. But the thing is, you want to go where the need is the greatest. And also where your contribution will make a big difference.
That's what I was going to say. Your dollar goes so much further in
Right.
countries where the dollar, dollar to whatever their currency ratio is different.
Right. And also because the standard of living, like our
Right.
friend Alka Subramanian, who's the founder of The Power of Love, she is a volunteer who started this nonprofit organization that they fund loans and they give education, business education to women in Zambia. Their loans are $50, $100.
Yeah.
Like $500 is their biggest loan after you've already gotten another loan and you're going to scale more. I mean, $500. That's helping a woman start her business. But the whole excitement I love of that, and there's a lot of excitement there to love, is because when you give your $50 and a gal gets that money for starting her business, then she's paying it back. And so your $50 then helps another woman start a business. And then it helps another woman start a business. So your massive impact that you can have from your $100, $300 contribution, to me, that's very exciting. But the other thing is that when women start businesses, what we see is that they employ all the other gals in town. And so now the whole community is uplifted from women in that community starting businesses. This gets me very excited, my friend.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, obviously, this is the one that just happened here at your most recent Shiro Summit.
Yes.
And so it's very much on both of our minds because it was such an amazing amount of impact that was made with
Yeah.
the people that were there. So yeah, whew,
Yeah. And
gets me
let me
very
say this,
excited.
I really want to encourage everyone to look at how you want to embrace philanthropy in your business. We raised over $9,000. That didn't come out of my pocket.
Right.
That came out of all the gals that were there. And of course, I'll make a contribution too. Always like to do that. But sometimes we think, oh, well, I'm not wealthy enough to give a big check. Well, first of all checks are good to give, even if they're not too big. But even though if you can't write a big check, you can infuse the
Yes.
idea in your business and your community, and you can get the gals together, and together you can have massive impact. It's so
I
fun.
do. That's also one of the things that you've done is like you have an event, but the fee to get there is not some, whatever fee that you're going to take in as your income. You're like, you know what? My priority today is to raise money for this thing, and your money goes toward them, or
Right,
half of it goes to them and half of it goes to our expenses, or something like that,
right,
which
exactly.
is also very inspiring because it doesn't always have to be about our income, but it's part of looking at the bigger picture
Right,
of how we want our business and our lives to affect the planet.
exactly, exactly. And Tracy, here's the other thing we know. We know that consumers feel good about investing with brands that are socially conscious
Mm-hmm.
and are giving back. And so the studies show people will pick the brand that they see that is giving back to the community
Yep.
over the one that is not giving back when other factors are equal. And also, as a businesswoman, wow, it sure feels good to use my business for good.
Yep.
And then it feels good to the people that are making contribution, because guess what? Now they feel better about doing business with me, and hopefully that helps to keep them coming back too.
Yep.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of reasons why it's good for your business.
Yeah. This is so huge in this time in our country, especially, and everything too, right? Working with the brands that you're aligned with
Yeah.
and leaving the rest behind for now and seeing how the future holds for those. So this is amazing, but let's talk about, so one of the ways that people can do this is, and one of the things you've been talking about recently, especially, is not only how to speak to build influence and how to sell without being salesy, but scaling and
Yeah.
growing your business so that you can feel more confident in your reaching even
Yeah.
outside your own household and your own company. So talk a little bit about what you're doing these days to help people and women in business scale their businesses further.
Okay, great. The first thing is I want everybody to run their business like a business. Okay? Don't run your business like a hobby, and don't run it like you're the janitor and the admin assistant and the webmaster and the graphic designer and 50 other jobs. You got 5 jobs in your business: speaking, selling, serving, strategy, and self care. That's it. Those are 5 big jobs, but don't have 25 jobs, because when you have 25 jobs, you can't scale. Okay, stick to your jobs. And when you do that, then you can start to look at, okay, what are the things we do all the time that we can systematize, that we can make a checklist, that we can have a process? How can we automate more? How can we use AI to grow our business? And there are solutions and answers to all these questions. We just have to have the time to put our attention on it, because we're not doing the 25 jobs.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to mentor women that are already having a nice established business, but they want more revenue, they want to have more impact, they want to serve more people, and supporting them to grow that business from 100K to 200K to 300K. Because the more impact, the more revenue coming into our business, the more impact we're having in the world. And I'm good with the amount of impact I'm having, and I'd like to have more. And I want to help more women have more impact. And the thing is, Tracy, like I said to you earlier, women start businesses because they want to be helpful. Like if they're a health coach, it's okay, hey, I want to help more women with their health, or I want to help more women with their style, or whatever it is that the woman is passionate about. And most women haven't had a career in sales. Maybe they sold Girl Scout cookies, or they, worked at.
Candy bars
Right,
with
right.
marching band. That was mine.
Okay, yeah. No, so that's a little sales experience, but it's not just about learning how to sell, it's about mastering it. And there's all of these skills for business that we really need to master in order to really bliss and thrive in our business.
Yeah.
And I want to support women to do that. Sometimes people will say to me, "Oh, Caterina, I've taken a speaking class, or I've taken a sales class." I say, "Good for you. Guess what? I took a sales class when I was 19. I got an A minus. I was very distressed that I got an A minus, because I thought I was deserving of an A. But here's my point. Was that the last time I took a class in sales? No, that was probably 25 sales classes back, because the more we put attention on something, the better we get at it.
Yep.
And, there's this saying, Tracy, that, we teach what we need to learn. And I don't like that saying. I think that is poppycock. I am anti that saying. I think we teach what we seek to master. And as somebody who's been focusing for years on mastering sales, mastering speaking, mastering retreats, it's so wonderful to feel like, okay, I'm really good, and then to see, oh, hey, if I do this, I'll be even better. And to continue to tweak things along makes it really
Yeah.
fun. I do want to say one thing about sales, because it's on my mind today, because I taught 2 sales classes today and I gave a speech on sales. Here's what I want to say. Women don't like selling because of the ick factor, because of the salesy factor. And really, if we're doing it right, we're simply talking to people
Yep.
and seeing if there's a match, and seeing if what we've got matches what they're looking for, and working out the details. And I also want to say, like, it's a privilege to be your client. I'm saying that to you because I am your client. It's a privilege to be your client. But I want women to start to feel like, hey, you know what? If somebody's going to work with me, they've got to be worthy to work with me, which means
Yeah.
they've got to meet your client criteria. And that requires a conversation to see if they're a good match for you. So
Yep.
let's talk to more gals and see who's a good match for us. Because the more gals you talk to, the more great clients you're going to get and the more you'll be blissing in your business.
Yeah. And I find also that the more conversations you have, the clearer you can get about who is a good match.
Right.
Because, like, it might be like on the surface, they might seem like the perfect person. And then you have a
Right.
conversation and you hear them complain 3 times, and you're just like, maybe they're not such a great match
Right.
anymore
Right.
because of XYZ or whatever. And obviously, for every person, it's different, but it does require that conversation. And I think that people also, if you don't have a conversation and you just feel like whatever you're going to say is going to sound salesy, I always tell people, like, well, are you is that your intention to be salesy? Because you get to decide what you say. Like, you
Right.
don't have to sound a certain way, you get to change it,
Right.
and embrace the relationship
Right.
and go from there. And if your relationship MO is to be pushy, then, maybe it's not the sales that's the
Right.
problem.
Exactly.
Right? If you're just a pushy personality, then that's how you're going to come off in sales too. But if you're a giving, generous,
Right.
how can I help you kind of person, then
Right.
salesy doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Well, my friend, so okay, let's talk about retreats super quick, because it's how I
Yeah.
really got started with you
Yeah.
7 years ago.
I
I
got it.
signed up for the original Thrive with Events and Retreats
Yeah.
program, which was brilliant. And I did it again twice in a
Yeah.
row immediately. And I'm coming again on the next
Oh, I'm
cruise for
so
the program
excited.
again. I know, me too,
Mhm.
because I immediately knew I wanted to do events, and I put retreats out in my future. And now I've done retreats, and to come back to the program again in its new version,
Yeah.
5 years later, having done lots of events and retreats now, I'm super looking forward to that. So, tell the person out there who's like, wow, that would be amazing, but it feels like it's really hard to do retreats. Tell
Yeah.
them what they need to know before we go.
The reason why it's hard is because you're doing everything.
Yeah.
And really, you don't want to do everything. My job when I'm on a retreat is to be with the ladies. That's my job. It's not my job to set up the room. It's not my job to check on lunch. It's not my job to make sure there's handouts for tomorrow. My job is to be with the ladies. And you want to have support, even for a small retreat. And when you do that, you'll be blissing. Now, of course, you got to get smiles on the screen or derrieres in chairs, and that takes some time, and that is your job also if it's your retreat. And that's really where you want to put most of your attention. And then once it's getting closer to your event, then you can put your attention on the swag bags and the design and all of that. But that's the other thing I see is gals have so much attention on all the accoutrements that they want to include, which is really a really fun part. But your job is to fill your retreat first. And of course, you need a date and a time and a topic, but you don't have to have every minute figured out before you start doing your retreats. And the other thing I'll say is that if it's your first time, give it a little more time. Don't plan it for 3 weeks from now. Okay. Give it more time. Now,
Give yourself some time to actually have those conversations.
yes, exactly. So we do our Thrive with Retreats retreat. Tracy's also come on our Bliss retreat for women leaders on a mission. You're coming again. That's going to be so exciting.
Mhm.
And then in August, we have our Amp Up Adventure, which is our mastermind cruise for women in business on a mission. And I'm very excited about that. Women love to get together, they love to mastermind. And we're going to do it again, round trip Seattle to Alaska
Yeah.
next August.
Amazing. And the one last year or this past year, a few months ago, was so great. It's a very different vibe from the other Bliss Retreat. You know, everything kind of has its own personality every, you
Mhm,
know, because
mhm,
just like any event has its own brand and its own theme, Amp Up is just different from all of the rest. And it's so much
mhm.
fun. So yeah, I'm super excited for the ones that I'm coming on this coming year. I actually can't wait for the next time to be on the ship. It's been far too long.
It's been too long, my friend.
I know it has. All right, my friend. Well, so I think we touched on everything. Let's, tie it up with a bow. Give us a last final
Yeah.
thought before we close out.
Well, let me say, I also host a free workshop every month, and I invite everyone who wants to get some more massive value to come and hang out with me for my free workshop, usually on sales or speaking or retreats. And also, I'd like to send everybody to my free stuff page, which is CaterinaRando.com/links. So I've got an
Yep.
ebook on getting booked, link to my podcast, Expand Your Fempire, a link to some free resources and reports to help everyone bliss and thrive more in their business. Thanks, Tracy.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. I'm so excited for what's to come in the short term and the long term with you. Like I said, it's been 7 years and we're not done yet. So
That's
thank you for today. And I can't wait to get this out to everyone. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, my friend.
Bing, bing.
Bing, bing.